am Lanikia, and you are watching What Happened on the Soaps. This is General Hospital Edition. Today is Monday, August the 28th, 2023. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to rate this one a 7. It was solid to me, so let's get into it. First of all, we see Diane and Carly. They are, Diane has come by, she's talking to Carly because Carly wants her to represent Drew in his case. And she said, well, Drew had, he accepted a plea deal. He pled guilty and, he accepted his punishment. So what do you want me to do? And she said, well, it's not right. And I want you to look into it. So Diane said, the only thing we could really do is look at the judge's history and just to see, is he always this hard on people? What's going on with that? She said, that's about all we could do. And Carly says, well, do it. And she says, well, who's hired me, you or Drew? And she said, well, I mean, technically me, but Drew would still be happy because, he would be happy about it. And so I guess Diane is going to look into it because some of y'all have been saying in the comments, like, we need to look into the judge because it just seemed too, I don't know, it just seemed too, he seemed too upset with Drew, and maybe Cyrus had something to do with that judge and everything. So we'll see, you guys. I don't know, child. But anyways, so as they're doing this, Carly also says, well, what about Robert? And she said, what Diane said, what about Robert? And she said, well, I mean, talk to him. And by the time this all happens, Robert comes in on Carly and Diane. And baby, Diane was so awkward. But I do like the fact that Robert told her he got a new vehicle. And she said, oh, that's good. And he said, maybe you will take a spin with me one time. And she said, I'm glad. She said, I'm a little booked and busy myself, so I'm just not gonna say yes to this. You gotta I'll pencil you in my schedule though. And he said, okay, well, maybe Chris. And she said, oh, yes, Chris. And she points out that it is a she, it is not a he. That she'll tell her about it. But that's it. That's all. Diane and Robert are still kind of flirting. And Carly said, but Diane, and she said, I'm working on it as she was leaving. I said, okay. So then we go over here from Carly and Drew. Who do we want to go to next? Gregory and Alexis. So Gregory and Alexis are talking, and he tells her that he told Finn, but he shouldn't have put it. He knew she and Finn were friends, and he hoped that he didn't mess up their relationship. He shouldn't have put her in that position. She said, "No, Finn and I are good. He understands everything. He's just concerned about you as his son." And as your son. And he says, okay, well, good, I'm glad that didn't mess up anything or whatever. So then we go from that to sorry so then we go from that to them just talking about his not him not telling Chase yet, because he says Chase has always been very sensitive. Alexis says, I don't think y'all are giving Chase enough credit. Yes, it'll he'll be hurt by it, but he's strong and he'll be able to deal with it. And Gregory just says he hopes so. But he is going to tell him. And so that's pretty much it with that, y'all. Gregory is still leaning on some Alexis for support, and she's happy to give it. They're good friends. So moving on with that. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped right over Alexis and Christina, because Christina had been there earlier with Alexis, and she had told her, the reason why I didn't stop by the Metro Court is because, I figured that if Molly wanted me to know anything, she would tell me. And since she didn't invite me to the sushi party and everything, I didn't want to interrupt. She said, so that's why I took off. And Alexis said, I knew it was something going on. And Christina just wants to know that their relationship won't be affected by anything Molly has going on. And she says, no, not at all. So they're good. Alexis and Christina are good because she said, we've just gotten into a better place, and she wants to keep it that way. And they're like, yep, that's exactly how we're gonna do it. So moving on from that, we see that Alexis, as she's talking, excuse me. So that's the end with Alexis. I'm sorry. So then we see Finn and Elizabeth, because he's went into her secret spot, and she just says, he tells her he saw Gregory talking to her earlier, and she was like, yes, because she's talking to him about, oh, you're in my secret space, and he said, I had a lot to think about. And so he tells her, I already know that you know about my dad and his diagnosis and everything, and she said, yes, I do. and she's sorry about everything that's going on. But Gregory is a strong man, and he just wants to spend time. And he told me because he wants you to have somebody to talk to. And he was like, he still regrets all of the time he wasted being mad at him. And Elizabeth just tells him, well, this is the time to make up for all of that. So do just that, make up for the time lost. And he was like, yeah, that's exactly what he'll do. And that's pretty much it with them, y'all. She's just being a comfort to him. And he appreciates that because that's exactly what he needs. So I'm not going to hold you on that. Let's move right along. So then we see um, Lucy and Martin are at the poolside or whatever, and she's distraught because she's like, first of all, don't he she she like she does what she does. Is I think she what threw a drink or something, but she's like, don't come up in here like everything's all good when I know about you and the $50,000 you're taking from your ex-wife, and that's why you don't want to marry me. So then she explains to him that, sir, yes, of course I want to get married. What are you talking about? I was like, because you was the one who said you didn't. And she said, well, of course I want to get married. And now I know you don't want to marry me. And it's because of money. And she says, well, he was like, you want me to get the money up? And she says, I can't tell you to get the money up, especially when I'm about to go broke. So she's trying to tell him about deception, right? But he sees Valentine. Okay, so now what's going on is Valentine, Robert and Anna are at the pool area at the Metro Court, the same as the same as Martin and Anna, right? So they're at this pool area, and Robert is trying to get Anna to not Lucy and Anna. So hold on. Martin and Anna are at Martin and Lucy are at the Metro Court, right? Anna and Robert are there as well. He's trying to get Anna to tell him more information about what's going on with Valentine because she says, I need you to use your, connections and give me all the information you can about Pikeman because she feels like Valentine is not giving her the 100% truth, right? So because she feels like that, she wants to find out what the truth is. So he's like, yeah, I can help you, but you need to tell me what's going on. So she don't end up telling him or anything because Anna's not going to tell. But I'm like, girl, why? She's like, Valentine is lying to her. I said, so why don't you just confront Valentine? Like, I don't understand not asking him for the truth because this is exactly what happened with, like, it's like they're rewrite the same storylines over again. Just ask the man what is going on, like tell him he's been lying to you. But she won't, and so Robert is like, I'm gonna need to know more information. But around this time, Valentine comes up and he was like, damn, I interrupted anything? I didn't know we were having company. And Robert was like, you don't. And so that's when he goes over to Kelly's and he sees what's her name, Diane. So Valentine and Martin see each other. So Anna has to get up and go to the bathroom. So when she does that, Valentine and Martin talk and he tells them some kind of cryptic message about get it done, Martin. And Martin said it's more complicated than you realize. And he says, I don't care how complicated it is. I need you to get this done. I don't know what they're talking about. I'm not about to guess it. So I said, okay. So then Anna tells Valentine, what was that all about? And he tells her, it was just, boring stuff with him and Martin. And she was like, oh, okay. So he asked her, how was your day? And she says, like you and Martin, it was just the day. It was boring. And he was like, oh, okay. So they're both still just playing around with each other as far as not admitting like they know the truth on each other. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're going to continue to deal with this. So then we see that as they could that Martin goes, because that's it with them, they don't tell each other any information, they just are leery of each other. So then Martin goes back over to Lucy, who is trying to tell him about deception, and he not really paying attention to her because whatever he got has going on with Valentine, it's a lot. So when that happens, Lucy is just like, I'm gonna be bankrupt, I'm gonna, my business is going under because they're trying to say the deceptor was not my idea, but we both know that that was my idea. And so he's just like, I don't know, I don't know. He doesn't comfort her in this moment. It's like, Martin, I know you got a lot going on, but I don't know. I don't know, child. We're going to have to just wait and see what it all what all this is about. Um, so then that's it with them, y'all. He doesn't comfort her, and Lucy just stressed out about her business. But we know it has something to do with Martin. But she does tell him that she met with Jackson Montgomery, and they looked at his files, him and Felicia, and that's how they found out some information on him. But I don't know. Something's going on with Martin and Valentine, some kind of way with Pikeman and all that. But we just have to wait and see because I'm done with the guessing game. Anyways, then we go over here to Curtis and Stella. She's telling him, Curtis, you ain't ready to go home. He said, what you mean? She said, not with this mind frame, you're not. You not letting Portia in. You know, it's already gonna be hard. You can't go home in this state of mind. You got to be open and willing to accept help. Portia loves you. Trina loves you, and God wouldn't give you more than you could bear. And he was like, Auntie, I can't walk. Like I can't walk, so like I need help. Like I this isn't what I want to bear. Is what pretty much what he's saying. But she just tells him, you know, you have family that loves you, and if you want to go home, you need to go home in the right, you know, in the right mind frame so that you can actually accept the help. And she breaks through to Curtis and everything. Now while that's going on, Portia is talking to Marshall and she's telling him Curtis is being released tomorrow. And I don't know, like I didn't know anything about it. He didn't tell me about it. And he tells her, you know, maybe it's just like he busy Portia with a lot of stuff going on, so maybe it's just an oversight. And she was like, no, like he should have told me that. And he says, Portia, Curtis is thinking about not only, you know, being at the house and you know how he's going to get around, no longer being able to walk, but he's thinking about your marriage and how the physicality of your marriage as well. Because you know, Portia been busy, so she didn't really think about that. And so she was like, "Okay, so he's pushing me away." He says, "Yes." He said, "And I could understand it because when they told me I was sick. I pushed my family away. Look what I did." He said, "So I understand why Curtis is doing that, and you just got to let him come to terms with this on his own. But I promise you, he's going to do that." And so she's like, okay, but you know, she all she can do is just hope and pray and wait for him to realize that she loves him and she's not going anywhere. And they'll work out everything else in the end. And so then we see Trina and Jocelyn because she's at Kelly's and Jocelyn is confiding in Trina. Excuse me, Trina is confiding in Jocelyn about everything going on with Portia and Curtis and how she feels like it's her fault because um, she was she was mad at her mom about Curtis, and if she hadn't been so mad, her mom wouldn't have took what Curtis did as far as kissing Jordan so seriously. And if she hadn't taken that so seriously, she would have been able to forgive Curtis. So that's why she feels like it's her fault. And of course, Jocelyn tells her that's not your fault and everything. And but she just felt that way. She said, all you can do now is be there for your mom, and I know that she and Curtis are going to work this out. And Jocelyn is just comforting Trina, and it was nice to see. So Trina ends up leaving and she goes home to Portia, right? And to Portia's office, excuse me. And Portia just lets her know that Curtis is coming home, but he hasn't confirmed it with her. So she doesn't know. Maybe he won't come home. And Trina just tells her the same thing Marshall did. He's really busy right now. He has a lot on his mind. So he's definitely going to come home, but he's probably not thinking about that right now. But he'll definitely call you and let you know he's coming. And as they're speaking, she does receive a phone call and it's Curtis saying, you know, I'm coming home. And you could tell he's more warm and receptive towards Portia. So of course that makes her excited. And y'all, that's all I got for you. Sorry for the mix up with Anna and all their names, child. I'm sorry. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for an all new episode of What Happened on the Soaps General Hospital Edition. Goodbye.